to the T-Row Show. Transmitting truth. One week at a time.
Welcome to the 35th broadcast of the T-Row Show. This is your host, Keith. You got Stu and John with us. Say hello, guys.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Tony is off on some personal business, so he won't be on this particular broadcast today. But man, do we have some stuff for everybody today. Since the Charlottesville deal has been going on, it'd be the really good time to start bringing up where everybody came from and who the Berbers are, because we were going to bring it up a couple of episodes ago. I think it's about 5 or 6, and we had other pressing matters that we had to deal with on other subjects. But now is actually a very good time to do that. So we're going to be getting into the U.S. flag today. We're going to be getting into the history and symbols. We'll be getting into a lot of things that are intended to bring everyone together, to help everyone understand that there's no us and them. We're all essentially from the same place, and we're going to be able to show that today. So let's get over to the U.S. flag, which does bring out a lot of division among people. It's a huge division part of this country. I'm going to share screens with you. Okay. The website is flagspot.net, and a lot of this research is just from people from all over the internet. The problem is none of you guys talk. So what we do is we bring you all together, and we bring your research from one area to another area to another, and then bring it all into a story to where it starts making sense for people. A lot of times it's our own research, but this particular broadcast will be a lot of other people's research. So basically what it is the striped flag of the East India Company and its connection with the American Stars and Stripes. Now, this I'm going to show you here. This is a long read, guys. I'm not going to go through and read this whole thing. It was written by an English guy, and everybody knows about the English scholars. They are very long-winded. They love to talk. So they will essentially bore you to death. So what I'm going to tell you is this: you're more than welcome to come over here and read this yourself. It says the flag adopted in 1775 resembled, if it was not exactly the counterpart of the flag of the English East India Company, then in use, and which continued with trifling variations until its sovereign sway and empire in the East for over 200 years was in 1834 merged in that of Great Britain. Okay, so what they're saying on this whole thing is up here. These are different variations. They'll have red and white, and there's different variations of them. But the stripes are essentially the same type. It'll be 7, 9, or 13. And they're always alternating. What's different is this field right here. So what the East India Trading Company did was they would give an individual, the King of the Netherlands or whoever the royalty of the Netherlands were, they would endorse a throne, and they would give them a flag. And they would change the field in it. And there were many different variations of it. So essentially, this was the company and this was the franchise. So when you look at the Stars and Stripes, way back when, some people use them when they're vertical and some are horizontal. They're the same company. It's the same thing over and over again. The country never had a national flag. That's the whole thing. There were always company flags. They were loyalists to the company, to the East India Trading Company, and they would adopt all these different flags. Whoever would be a loyalist would have a throne endorsed, or he would get some kind of title of nobility from a foreign monarch, which would be the Netherlands, and they would give him this flag and the franchise. They would change the field here, and that's essentially what the stars and stripes that you guys are saluting and every day. It's a company flag. It always has been. So this goes back to the 1600s, 1500s, 1400s. It's whenever the company started.
Keith, if I could jump in here real quick, I've got a visual representation of the East India Company flag.
All right.
I'll just quickly share screens for you.
Go ahead and back off the microphone just a little. It's coming too loud.
Should see it over here on the right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, look at the coat of arms there, right? So the 1698 coat of arms. Yeah, see those two lions? That's the same as the kingdom of Mana we were talking about last week.
Yeah, one's England and one is Netherlands.
Right. One's England, one's the Netherlands. So I don't know which one it is, but either way, each side still have that same cross issue. But there it is, and that's a different franchise. That's the British East India Company. So they change the field. Is all they do. They have the same stripes and everything. It's just change the field. So whenever you're seeing these flags, now that you just look at the field, you'll know that's just a franchise of the East India Company. That's it.
Right, and we can verbally just state that what's the U.S. flag that everybody considers the national flag, which is erroneous, but that field there represents the new union,
That's the 50 companies.
Mm-hmm.
The 50 companies within the original state. So the state of, like you'll have state of Tennessee, but you'll have Tennessee State. Tennessee State, or U.S. Tennessee State, is the franchise of the East India Trading Company.
Right.
And they're the ones that are over here trying to make all these laws, which is hilarious, by the way.
That red cross on the Union Jack right there, if that's your red cross.
Right.
That red cross, that's your
the charity, right?
Yep, your charity red cross.
So they go in and they fix everybody. That's why when you're having a war, that's why a lot of times the Red Cross is not attacked, because they're neutral. So the companies that are at war with each other won't do that. They won't attack each other. So it's very well orchestrated. So essentially, what you're looking at here is it's a company flag, and I did get some interesting stuff. Here, there was somebody wrote up a pledge, and to say what the Pledge of Allegiance actually meant. And it says, he wrote, he says, I'm not taking this pledge on the air, so I'm just reading it. He says, I pledge allegiance to the Netherlands flag of the United States of America. There's the 1789. Everybody thinks they have, was Christian. And to its patroon oligarchy, non-republic, king of a king, for which it stands. Could you mute out, Stu? Just some background noise.
Sorry about that.
Oligarchy, non-republic of a king, for which it stands, one nation of British and Dutch Americans in communism, with privilege, liberty, and Roman curia for all. Which I thought was funny, because it's funny because it's true. See, there's also British and Dutch Americans. A lot of people don't understand that. When they say Americans, they're not necessarily talking about everyone. They're usually talking about the Dutch and British American. That's what the company protects. So when the president comes out and says, we're here to protect all Americans and everything else, and all that, then they're actually just talking about these guys, people that are part of the company.
Exactly. He's not talking about the American society.
Yeah, he's not talking about everybody. So you just have to realize that's what people just assume, basically. And I'll cover this before I go on to the next. This came out today. Was the SPLC and ACLU sued to remove the Lee statutes, to remove history and the Revolutionary Communist Party, okay, aka Revolutionary Union, and others keeping their identity from being known, arrange the fights and get the groups a few maybe Nazis or not and non-Nazi to fight, while the media brings in the rhetoric of racism, making it about white supremacy. And that's essentially what they're doing around the country. So you're just being manipulated by different groups is all that's happening. So you have to be very careful. These fights and these things begin with ignorance, being ignorant of your past and ignorant of who you are. They have groups around the country that are white supremacists. They have groups around the country that are Moors, that are claiming that this is Northeast Africa. So it's obviously theirs and everybody else has to serve them. You're going to find out and be very embarrassed by the time both sides are going to be pretty embarrassed by the time we get done here today. So let's introduce you to some Moors. It'll be interesting to see. Want to see some Moors?
Yep.
All right, let's do that. This is a Moor from Morocco. Huh. That's a Moor, folks. We're going to show you some other Moors. Oh, they're there. There's some Moors. See, some look Latino. Some are white here. Some are look Arab. There's some Moors there. Now you know where the who are those guys called again with the red hats?
The Shriners.
Shriners. Now you know where the Shriners got their red hat, right here. Symbolism, folks. Symbolism. Where did all this come from? Here's an Arab. Here's an Arab lady right here.
Yeah, clearly in that grouping of small populace there, you can see Mediterranean, you can see European, you can see
all kinds, man.
Yeah, is that? I guess I could say that that's Asian, but it's probably maybe a little bit of a reach.
About the only thing that's really shy up in there is actually the Orientals.
Yeah,
right.
I guess I'd say it's more Arabian than Asian.
This guy looks
Arabian,
Latino here.
Arabian, black, Latino,
and
Arab.
So
yeah, that's the individual I was looking at originally.
Right. So, folks, the Moors are claiming that they own the country. The white supremacists are claiming they own the country. You're all from the same place. Ooh, boy, that's going to burn them up, isn't it? Ugh, the hatred just burns them up. But not realizing they're all from the same area. It's got a huge, rich history. Oh, look at that. Huh. Gee, that's an old, that's a North African goddess right there. It looks a little familiar, doesn't it?
Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm. On the left is the North African goddess. I have another picture of her in here. Oh, there she is.
Yep.
Gee, same lady, same people. So it's not necessarily unique. Remember, there was a guy that was he was putting out silver coins a long while ago, and he was convicted for 40 years for copyright infringement, saying that.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the details, but I do remember the subject matter.
They said it was a copyright violation because he had like the Statue of Liberty on his coins and everything. Wonder where they got it. I wonder if this ever came up.
That was Nut House in the North Fed.
Yeah, North Fed guy.
Yeah.
So he was convicted for copyright infringement, and they didn't have a copyright on it. This same lady came from North Africa. She's considered a goddess in North Africa. The same place that the very people that said they have a copyright on it came from. You follow their lineage back, they're from North Africa. Here's the Egyptian slave master flag. It's right here. See, it's just upside down. It's the same thing. Right here. This is the East India Company slave master flag. Different. Here's the 13 stars here, or stripes. I'm sorry. And the franchise. Oh, there's another franchise. But same flag, same thing. Here's the Egyptian slave master flag.
Oh yeah, I see it. I see it. It's inverted, and he's sitting on it.
Yeah, you turn it upside down, same thing. These are all symbols, folks. Watch your symbols. So basically and essentially, those that think that they're supremacist just because of their race, you're being manipulated, because they are talking about race. They're not talking about where you came from. They're not saying where you came from at all. Okay? Franchise. If you can mute out, there's too much noise in the background. The 50 stars here, these are all 50 franchises of the U.S. flag. And this is the company flag, East India Company flag. Okay, and this is what we were talking about last week when we were saying each one of these stars represented a separate franchise of the same company. But they were within the original state. And what we were doing is bringing you out of the franchise and getting you a nationality under a national flag, a real one. So this history goes all the way back to Egypt, which ends up being with the Berbers. Now take a look here. These are Berbers here. Huh.
Yeah, and the best thing about that slave flag out of the pyramid.
Yeah.
They're still arguing now about how old they are. So how far back does it go?
Exactly. Well, just keep in mind, folks, that the Berbers have the original history. In other words, they go back as far as written history. That's it. They go back as far as written history. That's a long time. Now, see this star right here? Now you know where the Luciferians got their star. It's one of the Berber symbols. And so the Luciferians took this and started putting goats in it and said, here, this is a Luciferian star, and made it a part of their religion. They just made it up out of the same symbol that came from the same area, from the same people. That's what we're talking about, symbols. You know, the red flag right here? They were over there in Charlottesville, and a lot of them had red flags. Well, where do you think it came from? It came from the Berbers. Where they came from. But they're saying, oh, it symbolizes communism and all that. No, that's not what it does. It's an old symbol that was taken from what most people here, if not all people here, would consider the homeland.
Well, that's just like the Romans. They come in there and say, well, that's a pagan symbol.
Right.
The pagan they're talking about is the Berber.
Right. They used to call them barbarians, is what they used to call them, but that's where they were from. See, the Roman Caesars came from Berber, came from these people. I'll show you that later on. Serapis Christos. Wait a minute. Here's another one. African Berber features all around here. See? We all came from the same place, guys. So you can't sit there and say one is better than the other. We all came from the same area.
The Berbers have just been conquered so many times by so many different peoples. That's the reason they look so much different on their facial features.
So it's not about race, it's about your national identity, who you are. Now they'll call them, oh, those are white nationalists. There's nothing wrong with being a national and being proud of your country and being a part of your country. That's the globalists, who came from this same area, by the way. They came from North Africa, are a little twisted in their head. They don't understand where they came from. There are very few that do, but they're very cunning, and they like to They like to screw around with the history and mess around with people. Okay, here's this guy. We talked about Serapis Christos here. The one you call Jesus Christ with a cup on his head, this cup of Christ right there. I have got a, there, that came from North Africa. That's where a lot of that came from. It says the Emperor Hadrian wrote, Hadrian, those who worship Serapis are Christians, and those who call themselves bishops of Christ are bowed to Serapis. This is Serapis here. Serapis Christus, as early as 200 BCE, there were people, worshippers of Serapis, that called themselves Christians. And Serapis was the guy that used to kill you if you didn't call him a god. He wanted to be known as a deity, as a god. This has nothing to do with Yahushua and the creation of the country reign of the heavens, who also came from North Africa and the Berbers. The Paleo-Hebrew language came from North Africa. They got their language from there. I'll show you in a few minutes, because we have some other stuff to show you. These are all symbols, folks. You just have to realize the symbols. They're all symbols. Now, we were talking about Serapis, right? Okay, this is the, right here, this is the Serapis flag. Remember there's the stripes right there, and there's the different stars. See, Serapis flag, U.S.
Yeah,
Same
I
as,
believe that was the 13 stars. Yeah, 12 8-pointed stars and 1 7.
right. So this came from Serapis Christos right here. And this was the interesting part about it. It says Franklin Adams in the Serapis flag. It says, in a letter dated October 9th, 1778, Benjamin Franklin and John Adams described this flag to the ambassador of the King of the Two Sicilies. It is the flag later known as the Serapis flag. It says, while Benjamin Franklin was the U.S. ambassador, which he wasn't, he was ambassador for the United States of America. They always put the U.S. in there. It says, to Paris in 1777, John Paul Jones was creating so much havoc on the high seas in his raids on the British merchant marine, the coastal villages, that the Admiralty issued orders to have him hung as a pirate if he could be captured. It says the reason given for the order was a logistic one. He did not fly or a flag of any recognized nation. It says while Ambassador Franklin pondered possible solutions to this problem, the Dutch ambassador, we're back to the Dutch again, right? Acting for his government, asked for the description of the United States flag. There wouldn't be any United States flag at the time, folks, because it didn't exist yet. As far as Mr. Franklin knew, no national flag existed. Nevertheless, he gave his visitor a description of what we now call to be the Franklin or Serapis flag. This description was sent to the Dutch fleet, along with the orders that is recognized to be recognized on the high seas. Shortly afterwards, the ambassador of the Two Sicilies came to call, making the same request. He also received a description of the flag and forwarded similar orders through its navy, and was first given official recognition by foreign countries. Meanwhile, the ship from the United States was on its way to Paris with a notice that a resolve of Congress on June 14, 1777 had adopted now familiar stars and stripes. No one knows who designed or made this flag for Mr. Franklin, the Franklin flag. There it is. He was a stoolie. It was given for foreign recognition before the first national flag was adopted. It was similar to the one we know today. Its colors are red, white, and blue, and it had 13 stripes and 13 white 8-pointed stars on a blue background. Okay, so I would like to see this right here, the resolve of the Congress of June 14th, 1777. I would more than guess that it probably was not adopted. Okay, but that's what they like to put in here, in these things. The main part about this was there was no national flag. unless resolved the Congress of June 14th, 1777, they had not resolved to a 1781 Articles of Confederation, which did not have a national flag. That was the interesting part, I thought. So, at any rate, let's go over to symbols. We just wanted to show you that there is a Serapis flag. That was the cool part. Go ahead and close this out. You'll notice that these are North African symbols, okay? You'll see the menorah right here. North Africa. Those aren't Jewish symbols. Those are North African symbols that they took. Here's the all-seeing eye right here. Here's the Knights Templar. They use this symbol here. It was all taken from this area. Take a look at a lot of these. You'll notice them. Here's your bullseye. That's where it came from. It came from the bullseye came from language, North African symbols. Now people say North African, they think black. No, that's not true. Because if you go to Berber symbols, you got the swastika. This thing is 12,000 years old. But somebody stole it, and it's a symbol of hatred and cruelty. They took it and made it that symbol. It was a auspicious symbol with positive connotations that represented life, sun, power, strength, and good luck. The oldest swastika was dating back 12,000 years, was discovered in Mazin, Ukraine, carved in an ivory figurine, pottery, and coins from ancient Troy, dating back to 4000 BC. Y'all remember that movie, Troy, with, I don't know, I can't remember the guy's name. He was head of he was a star of the movie. It was dealing with Achilles. He played Achilles. But that's the Troy they're talking about. So this was a commonly used symbol. This is actually what we found, and I can't seem to find it, but this is actually a letter in the Berber language. I just can't find it for some reason today. It's a letter. That's nothing to do with what they have today.
I believe the one that's a letter in the Berber language is reversed on the swastika.
Mm-hmm.
If it's facing one way, it's good, and if it's facing the other way, it's bad.
Right. It says its artifacts have been discovered to indicate its use by the ancient Druids, the Celts, Nordic tribes, as well as Native Americans. Wonder where the Native Americans got it. They got it from North Africa. We find a lot of their language comes from North Africa.
And the Druids were the priests of the Celtic. They're record keepers.
Right. They called it Wan in China, Mani in Japan, Fulfot in England, Hondenkreuz in Germany, Tetraskelion or Tetragrammaton in ancient Greece. So everybody's taken this symbol one time or another and have used it at one time or another throughout history. But we were told that it was evil, and so everybody believed it was evil because the Nazi Party took it as their official emblem. I wonder where they got it. It says it's transforming a symbol of life and fortune into one of the most hated symbols in human history. So imagine how goofy people look today when they keep using the Nazi Party in America keeps using the swastika. I mean, it's stupid. You just got to, they never read the history on it. But they believed in what was going on back then, so they're trying to bring it in. You know, they said it was a struggle for the victory of the Aryan man. Well, you're all from here. Oh, gee, here's a king of Nubendia, Berber, and Roman script. the Roman king, was from the same place. So some pre-Islamic Berbers were Christians dealing with Serapis Christus. And I remember seeing in here there was a confederacy. They put the confederacy together, which came from North Africa.
Yes,
Not the one that you guys that people think is in the Civil War. It's not. We're talking about the one that was way before that, which was 1781.
personally, and I can't prove it, but I believe the Berbers were all Christian, and they were just infiltrated and forced to go other ways.
Absolutely. Oh, it's a mess. Their history is really bad. If you go in and start really getting into them, it says that after the Muslim conquest, the Berber tribes of coastal North Africa became almost fully Islamized. Sorry. Besides the Arabian influence, North African population also saw an influx of the Barbary slave trade of European peoples. Some estimated placing number of European slaves brought to North Africa during the Ottoman period as high as 1.25 million. His interactions with neighboring Sudanic empires, traders, and nomads from other parts of Africa also left impressions upon the Berber people. These people here, Hebrews have nothing on them, man. Nothing on what these people have gone through, the Berber people. According to the historian of the Middle Ages, the Berbers were divided into two branches. I can't pronounce that. Descended from, can't pronounce that. Who were themselves divided into the tribes and subtribes. Each region of the, it looks like the Marib contains several tribes. Okay, so just keep in mind, folks, that you're probably a part of one of these tribes. You just have to trace it back to this. Because a lot of times it goes to Europe and then stops. These people are never brought up. Ever. And the guy in charge of Libya, he tried to get rid of them too. Or then he ended up getting killed. Then they had Arabization, Islamization, and the reason why a lot of these people were doing that is because this is one of the oldest areas in history. There she is again. She's a statue of Kaina, a 7th century female Berber religious and military leader. That's why they had the Statue of Liberty in American Day. It came from this woman here. So that's why the Moors today, and here claiming themselves to be Moors in this country, that's why a lot of them adhere to Islam, is because their native country was invaded by Islam.
I believe it was somewhere right in that area that you found the Confederacy, right there where you're at.
Yeah, I can find it right here. There it is. It's right there. This is where the idea of a confederacy came in, called the Berber Confederacy. So if you want to look this up, folks, to find out, your history, that you all essentially came from the same place, and all the symbols you see came from the same place. They're just turned into something different. Just some different meaning today. You'll realize how much of a cocoon everybody lives in. And they just open their minds. Okay, here's some Berber symbolism here. I'll show you the Berber people here in just a little while. This means, there it is, Berber revolt. There's that again, like the kingdom of Mana. See? They revolted. And this symbol here means so it is above, or so it is below, I believe. So it is below, so it is above. That's what that symbol means. And that was even stated in the, we call it the football. Super Bowl. It was done by what's her name? Oh, I can't remember her name. I'm having a brain lock right now. She was in her song. It was in her song. Anyway, sorry, folks, but yeah, that's what this. That's what that symbol is. A lot of the same symbols that you see every day are coming from there. There's one here. This is spirals of the traditional Berber. Gee, I wonder where that came from. Anybody see doctors today?
That's the doctor staff today, the fiducius, and that's also the DNA spiral.
Right. DNA here.
Yep.
And then these wings right here, the falcon or whatever, that was used in the Nazi stuff. They took that, but it came from spirals of the traditional Berber. It came from here. It came from North Africa. And there's plenty of symbols in here that everybody will see. Here's the turtle. Here's where Turtle Island came from. That's where the Indians used to call this place Turtle Island. That's where they got it.
That's as above, same below.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So, folks, we're not that much different. There's the all-seeing eye. These are Berber clip arts. There's your all-seeing eye right there. That's where the Illuminati got theirs. That's where they got the symbols. Once again, there's their star. This is a star for search for bravery. It actually means bravery. But they turned that into what? Devil worshipment, goats, and all this other kind of crap. Everything you see. Here's their language. That's their alphabet. Gee, I wonder where the E and the Y came from, and the O, and the W. N. There's the cross again, the red cross.
There was a Q right above the cross.
Q, yeah. There's Z. A lot of the old symbols. Basically, the language that was came from here. So, guys, we're not that much different. We're not that much different. We all basically came from the same place. Even the Romans that are calling themselves Romans all came from here. That's messed up, isn't it? The ones that are, that hate Christians or hate this or hate that. You guys are all fighting over nothing. You all came from the same place. And the North African symbols are simply the same thing. So we're trying to tell you, I've been through and heard a lot of what the Moors have said. I've heard a lot of what the white supremacists have said and everything else. But really what we need to do is it's all based on ignorance. Every single bit of it is based on ignorance. Because both of you came from the same place.
And what the elite are doing out there, they're using that to divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm. That's what the company's doing. They call them the elite, but actually they're not. They're from the same place. They came from the same area. And they're using it to divide and conquer people.
Yep.
And why they do it, I don't know. But see, here it is, Berber Essentials. There's your all-seeing eye. Here's your eyeball. And that's a very well-known symbol there. It's the Moroccan Berber carpet right there. Yeah, they make carpets and they sell them. But just want people just to look at this really slowly, reflect. That's a lot like the Nazi symbol, same colors. You wonder where they got it, right? Oh, I didn't know they made shoes. Cool. Learn something new every day. So let's go over here. And I want you to take a look at the Berber people. These people look black to you? This guy does, though. Original Berber people. Look closely, Moors. Look closely. Look closely, white supremacists. Look closely. Or origin of Berbers. Same people. Original Berber people. You all came from the same area. It's time to stop fighting. Get your head out your butts and start understanding where you came from. Arabs, same thing. Native Americans, same thing. Y'all got to start realizing where you came from. Oops. Oh, look at that. Gee, it looks like a Native American girl. We all came from the same place, folks. We've been taught different. Atlantean Aryans, the indigenous Berbers. Guess what these people claim, folks? They claim they come from Atlantis, the Berber people. Does that mean that every one of us are from there? Take a look, white girls. There was one girl in here, man, you could have swore that she lived, or that she came from, some neighborhood, went to high school here. And by the way, this right here is when they become a woman. They put this symbolism on, and they're of marrying age and all that. Very good, very decent people, all of them. Very good and very decent people. And it's amazing they've all learned to live together. It's amazing what they've been able to do. So please stop fighting out of ignorance. Gee, look at that. You're all from the same area. All your symbols all came from your language that was created over thousands upon thousands of years. But these people do claim to be from Atlantis, every one of them. So apparently Atlantis existed. So all you guys that are they're thinking about their ego and that I'm this and I'm that and a whole bag of chips on both sides of the coin, y'all need to realize you're not a bag of chips. You just don't know your history. You're reading the propaganda of the company. And the very purpose of government is to bring back and to make sure that one generation, because the government survives generations, one generation knows where they came from, and then that goes on to the next generation, and the next generation, it goes into the archives. So that everybody knows where they came from. The U.S. is stuck with the company history. It's not your history. That's the whole thing. It's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, they've stepped in and broke the chain of title, so to speak. Broke the connection.
Mm-hmm.
That was the reason they got rid of all the Druids, because the Druids kept the records of the genealogy records.
All right. This also includes the Masons. You've seen this symbol on their floor.
Yep.
In black and white, in a lot of their temples. Masons. Y'all are from either that. If you're not, you stole some Berber stuff, didn't you? Some Berber symbolism. But that's right there. Would y'all turn that into? Some kind of sick twist? Morocco and the Berbers right here. Here's their language. And they call it Commander of the Faithful. And there's their hats. Yeah, they didn't have the hats on this one. It says the Moroccan women, they have more rights than many other Arab countries due to the king's support. Many now are judges, scholars, and teach support other women to grow. Not all women cover up with the traditional hijab headscarf. Morocco is considered to be a moderate. They call it a moderate Islamic country. But they're slowly moving away from Islam. And this is where it is. It's in North Africa. In case anybody didn't know. Education is a high priority. Since 1999, the new program was instituted by the government called Decade of Excellence to teach the importance of changing Morocco through education and to reform the education system to include preschool education. The government is also trying to introduce the American system of education. So they're trying to move away from Islam also. They're saying that the more educated people are, the more that they do this. Now, you see this picture right here? You see black people sitting there? Oh, yeah, there's one. Oh, there's some white girls too. And here's the big symbol. Here's that devil symbol. So anybody that walks over there from this country look at them, oh, they're devil worshippers. No, they're not. And anybody that would come over and go over there and see this symbol here would think, oh, they're Masons, and come back with this whole big line of crap dealing with Masons. See, both. There's one. There's one. Y'all the same. There's another. This country's so war ravaged. Look at what they had. That's all they got. They got a toy tent. That's funny. It teaches them how to raise tents. It says Berbers are often portrayed as nomadic people crossing the desert on camels, but most are farmers in the mountains and valleys throughout northern Africa. Some who do trade throughout the region. Historically, Berber merchants were responsible for transporting goods by camel caravans. There were basically 5 trans-Saharan trade routes, which extended across the Sahara from the northern Mediterranean coast of Africa to the great cities, which are situated on the southern edge of the Sahara. Such as Timbuktu in Mali. From there, the goods were distributed throughout the world. They're involved in world trade. Wonder how they got that. Traditionally, they raised sheep, cattle, and goats. Some Berbers worked in the flour mills, do wood carving, quarry millstones, and make pottery or jewelry. Women generally do the cooking and caring for the home and children, weaving and pottery. Today, many Berbers work in Spain or France as migrant workers and send money home to their family.
And they took the caravans and took all their merchandise to town to sell it. The food and all the carvings and everything else.
Okay, and they do have buildings. This is just tents. It says most Berbers are originally nomadic, moved their home and not staying in one place and graze their sheep and goats and take advantage of the better weather. Living in tents is here. Some do, some don't. See what I mean? They got buildings. That's why I do this. They have buildings they live in. Very nice ones, by the way. Now, remember, they were trying to take out the Sunni Muslims over in Iraq. Because a lot of them came from here. But they're trying to change it. They're slowly moving out of Islam and going back to their own traditions. They were just taken over and over again throughout the generations. They got marriage rituals. But just showing you some pictures of where everyone here in America came from. And you don't have to call yourself Moors, and you don't have to call yourself Nazis and white supremacists. You need to call yourself Americans, because that's where you are. You're all Americans. It's not about race, folks. It's about your national identity, who you are, your country. But they make jewelry. Gee, I wonder where the Jewish people got that. The jewelry trade, right? Here's the all-seeing eye. So, Illuminati folks, you're not elite. You just came from the same place. The company, you're not elite. You came from the same place.
That was the Eye of Horus.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting stuff. I'll show you some more of these pictures, and then we're going to go ahead and end the program or end the show. But hopefully everybody learned something today. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we try to do in this program every single time we do it. Come up with something new that's hopefully people will begin to open their eyes that America is not America per se is how you see it. It actually comes from comes from this area here. So all these people trying to push the hijab and everything, come on, give it a rest.
Yeah, and I think you've done that. I think you've presented enough evidence to substantiate that, over centuries, symbols have been swiped or meanings have been manipulated and changed.
Yeah, here's your equal sign here.
But that clearly there's more to the picture than what's been presented in public schools.
Exactly. There's no real education in public schools. It's based on divide and conquer. Everything that's taught by the company is to divide and conquer, because that way they survive and they can call themselves government. When you actually haven't seen government yet, except for since 2010, that's when it started. And you'll notice that when the General Post Office was claimed, they haven't created any new governors for the USPS. Go read it, because that's real government popped in, and they can't. But interesting stuff. There it is. Symbol for a bird, therefore the creative taking off of life, I guess. That's their symbol. This came from the Berbers.
What's the one just above that one?
That's the cross movement, space in different directions, up and down, north, south, left, right, east, west.
The four directions.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here it is. This is actually, there was a symbol for a bird, therefore creative taking off of life. Okay, there it is. So this is not Hitler's symbol. This came from the Berbers.
Right. It's supposed to be I interpret that as a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Taking off of life, like it's a stepping stone to
birth.
Yeah, or
even the nest.
New perspective, right? Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Right, and then they have the crescent moon here: change, revival, openness, birth, death, and resurrection of the full moon. Islam didn't get that. They didn't get their symbol. That's not their symbol. It belonged to the Berbers. The Knights Templar. That's not their symbol. This belonged to the Berbers. This symbol belonged to the Berbers. It did not belong to the Germans. And the Statue of Liberty did not belong to the U.S. and the company. So there could not have been any copyright violations.
And that swastika belonged to the Native Americans a long time before Hitler got hold of it.
Yeah. It's a 12,000-year-old symbol. What the hell?
That's right.
And here's some more of their symbols here. So you'll see a lot. There's your Q. This word Yahweh, Yay. A lot of that stuff came in. So just keep in mind, folks, this is what we're trying to get across. And you need to go to peace, and a real peace, not this this fictional crap that the so-called infiltrators and or the instigators want to call peace. In other words, their form of peace is, if you accept our way, we'll have peace. Well, that's not peace. So the main thing is to understand where all of us came from. That's the main thing. And once that happens, then you'll realize that there are no elite. We're all equal. We're all the same. We just have to learn to communicate better.
Yeah. And of course, there's large gaps. We realize that. We're not purporting that we've tied all this together. We're just attempting to show you that there's more missing in the human family's history than we have established. Perhaps that's why the Vatican, scourged the earth during the Middle Ages and confiscated all the knowledge that they could get their hands on. You want to fill in some of these gaps. Let's open the Vatican Library a bit. I'll bet you they've got some information.
Well, if you're going to tell a lie, you got to know the truth. That's the way you see it. So if you're going to tell a lie, you got to know what the truth is in order to make sure it's a good lie.
First thing people got to understand, they're going to have to make peace with themselves before they can make peace with their neighbors. And most people don't understand how to make peace with themselves.
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. I
just started saying, and I don't know how to tell them to make peace with themselves.
Well, there's one good start that we found in this thing called the True Unknown History, and they removed the video because they said it was a copyright. There was like 50 of these little videos that were 10 minutes long, trying to show people their history. And we used to have it. We still have a list of it. We can find it again. But in the one section was just dealing with ego, and there were some actors that were playing that out. And a lot of people don't understand what ego is. And what ego is your evil side. That's you lying to yourself on a daily basis. And then eventually it overcomes the good side of people. And we've dealt with ego quite a bit. And we know how to get rid of it. And the main thing is understanding, in order to make peace with yourself, is understanding that your ego is not you. It is a part of you. It's not you. It's a part of you. And when you say that over and over, you'll find a calming peace come about. That your ego is evil and it lies. And it lies to you on a daily basis. Every day you live with it. So you have to come to peace with it and realize that it's not you, but it is a part of you. So you're not denying who you are. Denial doesn't work. You're embracing who you are. And that's the main thing that everybody needs to understand. That helped a lot of American nationals and a lot of general postmasters and everything else as they were coming through, and we were talking to them and helping them understand. A lot of them get really quiet when that happens. So please stop falling for this crap. That and I'm talking about the people that are on the street out there fighting. You white supremacists, stop falling for the crap that you've lied to yourself about. The Moors, stop falling for the crap that you've lied to yourself about. The opposition called Antifa, we know you guys are paid. Stop doing what you're doing. You're inciting. You're violating the law. And stop believing the crap that you think that you're involved with. I'm getting rid of fascism and all this other kind of stuff. No, you're not. You're helping them. Every one of those groups are helping the third party create an emergency, which they always love to do, and so that they can change something to their advantage and get richer. That's all it's about. It's about money. Well, we hope you learned something today on the T. Rowe Show. Share us with your friends. Share it with the Moors. Share it with the white supremacists, the Nazis, all you communist guys. Share it with them. And realize, folks, y'all need to come together. Y'all need to stop fighting this crazy stuff. Killing each other and hurting each other and everything. You just look like a bunch of idiots. You're embarrassing everybody, the whole country.
In other words, quit playing into the hand of the company.
Mm-hmm. Quit believing what the company is telling you is what I'm trying to say.
That's right. You're playing right into their hands when you come up and demonstrate in the streets and what have you. Go ahead.
All right. Would you like to say same thing before we go? You can say goodbye. You can say adios, or have your final thought.
Talk at you later.
Stu?
Yep. Same with me. I'll enjoy the work week, folks. We'll talk soon.